All right, hi, how you doing? I look like a super giant. Hello, we're gonna be doing planting some giant plants. I got some sunflower seeds here from a very good friend. We're just gonna do a simple planting right now with them. I have this old tray from last year. It's got some leaves on it and things like that. I'm just gonna clear those off. I'm gonna leave the material that's accumulated down at the bottom. There's not much of it. Old leaf matter, little leftover dirt from last year's plantings. And it is June right now in Michigan, so it's a little late. Last year I was planting much earlier, but we'll see what we get out of this time. I'm gonna go get some dirt. I'll be right back. Not using anything fancy. This is just some potting soil I got from the dollar store. And there it is, potting soil. All right, in this case, it's from the garden collection. So just gonna go and empty it onto this tray here and spread it out. And there we go, and just spreading it out generally on there. Pretty generally. Let's take a look at it. Ooh, look at that pile of dirt. See how I spread that out? I'm gonna spread it out a little more carefully now, so it fills all the cells in this particular planting tray. Okay, I got to put a little more out there. Got some larger pieces of soil, but that's okay, you know. Put some more soil, some more potting soil. And potting soil is a little different than, planting soil or garden soil and all those other things. It's not topsoil, but it doesn't have number one nutrients. And on occasion, it's got a rock. Let's look at the rock together, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else is watching. The rock in the dirt. So, took the rock out of the dirt. We got most of these cells filled up. We're short just a couple. We're gonna go with what we got. And to plant these, oh, lots of rocks in there. All right, to plant these, all I need to do is I'm gonna poke a hole in these. Oh, I had a popsicle stick before. Those are really good. I'm gonna take this stick from the ground. This is backyard gardening, okay? We're just doing that right now. I'm gonna make a little hole here for our sunflower, and it says sunflowers will develop long tap roots. So it's best to direct to sow them outdoors since they do not like to be disturbed. So we're gonna do it about 1/4 of an inch under. So that's what we're gonna do. And they thrive in the heat of summer and prefer an area of full sunlight. They're not too picky on soils. So 1/4 of an inch, that's what we needed. So I'm gonna make a little 1/4 of an inch here. And oftentimes when I do these plants, they get kind of leggy. So I'm gonna do something different this time. When they come out of the ground, I'm gonna see if I can when they come out of the soil, I'm gonna see if I can get this certain little group to an area where they can immediately be put in the dirt. So there we go. I'm just going around and making these little holes with the stick. I don't really need to do this but I like to do it so that I make sure I get each one put in where it goes. And I'll tell you why. When you're using sunflower seeds, and we'll see them in a minute, they're shaped kind of like a triangle, right? And when you slip them into the soil, sometimes the soil closes up right behind them, and that's the end of that. You can't tell if you put anything in that cell. And I don't know if you're like me, but keeping track of all these cells that look exactly the same can be a little difficult, a little challenging for the backyard gardener. So here we go. And also, these were kind of packed a little bit, so now we're loosening them up so that we can get the seed in there. And then after that, I'm gonna water them. So the first thing I did was I got our planting cells here in our little planting tray, which were left over from purchasing. Oh, look at that, that's another rock. Okay, that rock's out of there. Left over from planting last year. And then a good friend, as I mentioned, got us these wonderful sunflowers. Look at how beautiful those things are. They come in so many different varieties. This is the tall sun gold, also known as tall teddy. So we got some tall teddies going on here. We're gonna see if we're gonna use up all of them. I think I'm just gonna do half of these, and then we're gonna follow those instructions maybe for some of them and put them directly in the ground. So there's 1, 2, 3, and I'll take this. What is that? Ooh, is that a saber-tooth tiger tooth? I don't know. It's a rock though, so we'll take that out of there. And we're putting them in. And let's take a look. These are smallish, not quite the triangular size I would type I was talking about, but they slip right in to the soil, and that's that. Point down, or the other way. They fix it themselves when they're in there. When they come out, they all come out the same way. Oh, it looks like we're going to get this whole tray out of this handful, and I will have some to put in the dirt itself. The thing about putting the dirt in putting them in the dirt directly in the yard that I have right now is we got squirrels and birds, and they like to dig around. And a lot of times we'll get a good emergence, so we'll get a lot of the seeds that will come up out of the ground. Oh my goodness, and then they're the seedlings, and then they get all eaten up. We're going to have 2 in that one. They get all eaten up. So you may ask me, hey, what do you do about that when they come and do that? And the only thing I can say is I either plant more, or I get some that have already been grown at a nursery and put them in that have already been grown, or I've already grown them in the house, and then I might put a bucket over them or some other thing to protect them. And also what I do is I plant a lot of things at the same time, and I go and check the plants at night to see if they're getting eaten by anything. I'll pick the insects off if I can, and in the end I get a pretty good return, because like all the old stories, right? You can just plant a few seeds. If any of them grow, you're going to get like 30 to 100 return on whatever you put in the ground. So just put them in the ground and see what comes up. If you have a problem, address it, and we will go out and replace a whole section if we need to. And by whole section I mean maybe 5 plants. 5 new plants. So not a big deal. Don't have a big farm here, but the farm that we are operating is to see if we can grow some food for ourselves. This year specializing in beautiful flowers. So there we go. I don't have many of these left, so they're all going to be put in the tray. When they come out, I'm going to take special care of them, and we'll have a different video on that. Now let me get some water. I'm going to use this big old watering can here to get some water on here. Some water down in the tray already. So, and what I'm doing right now is not watering them they are getting inundated, but what I'm doing right now is just making sure there's water on the surface, because the soil was a little moist already to begin with, and this is just to ensure that the surface of the soil, all the little dirt grains join together, and we're sealing the surface right now. Took me a long time to say that, but we're sealing the surface just by a little water on top. That's what we're doing with that right now. So let's take a look at it. Here we are. Oh, look at that wonderful dirt, huh? Oh my goodness gracious. It's dirty. Look at all that dirty dirt. So we have planted a tray of sunflower seeds. It's heavy because it's got water in it. And I'm just gonna push it over here on my growing table, and we're gonna wait and see what happens with that over the next few days. And again, planted that tall teddy and tall sun gold. Check it out, it's pretty cool, right? Usually you get a photograph. It looks like a photograph when I'm showing you in the video, but it's like a nice drawing. So there they are, tall teddy, looking for these. These are gonna be the big fuzzy sunflowers with all the different petals on. So I'm really looking forward to this. Some of these are gonna be put in the ground, but we're doing something different this year also, and that is to put them in buckets. We're gonna put them in buckets. I have all sorts of vegetable buckets I used last year. So these sunflowers are gonna go in those buckets, and we're gonna grow them up really big and tall for you to see. So thanks for joining me today, and have a great day. Bye.